You are listening to the FEBIS podcast, and my name is Sylvia Amaral. To know more about FEBIS, visit our web at www.febis.org and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Please subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned. Hello and welcome to this episode of the FEBIS podcast. Today I have the pleasure to talk with Christiane von Berg. She's Head of Economic Research, Benelux and DACH at COFAS. Well, Christiane, it's been a while since we last talked, right?
Yeah, indeed. It feels again like ages, probably because the world is turning at least double the pace that we know. So I think we have a lot to talk about.
Indeed. Well, actually, I want to make a note right at the beginning of this episode because, well, today is March 14th, 2025, and maybe nothing of what we say here right now will be valid in a couple of weeks, days, or even hours. However, we have the plan to focus today on EU economy, its ups and downs. But to start this conversation, I cannot resist to start by asking you for a quick overview on the shake that US, that is Mr. Trump, is causing to Europe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How much time do we have on this podcast? Just a question. I think there are so many dimensions that we really do not have the time to talk about that. But I think the most urgent one for us is probably all the tariff topics around, especially that since this week we have new tariffs from the United States here in Europe, not only Europe. So it's not a tariff that is directed at the EU, but at everyone. It's a tariff on aluminum and steel of 25%. Actually, something that we probably still remember very well from 2018, where we had something similar, however, on a lower level. And the main reason is that this tariff is put into place because of and that sounds really strange, I know, that the US defense capacities would be reduced by aluminum and steel coming from other countries. Maybe the one or the other person remembers we had that in the past as well in 2018 for washing machines. And again, my question was at that time, since when was the last time that a war was won with a washing machine? No, I mean, come on. Germany has Miele, and we all know it's the best washing machine. And sorry, this is not an advertisement for Miele. I do not get paid for that, but you know how it is. So yeah, that's a strange situation. But coming back to steel and aluminum, I think everybody is a bit afraid now that it got really honest or real now. Let's say it that way. And also, the EU are already preparing counter tariffs in a similar dimension against single American products, mainly things that will hurt, especially Republican states. We are talking about bourbon. We are talking about Harley Davidson motorcycles, jeans, peanut butter, everything that makes the US great. But I think we are all clear that this is only the start and that's not the end. So right now, everybody is afraid of this eye for an eye situation that is just, yeah, keeping on and on. If we are asking ourselves, okay, what is the economic impact? Then at least I can say, relax a bit. Obviously, it's really important and problematic for the single companies that are involved. I mean, from our experience, we know that these tariffs are paid by three different kind of parties. First, the exporter, second, the importer, and third, the consumer in the United States. So it's the burden is parted between the three. If we are looking at our economy in Europe, aluminum and steel are 5% of our total exports, and only a very small share goes to the United States. So the economic impact for us in terms of what would it be for the GDP is expected to be 0.02% of GDP. So that's not the problem. The problem is what will come afterwards, and the high insecurity. I mean, look at the stock exchanges around the world. We are so unsure of the future that even if now everybody is discussing investments, global trade is right now really the main problem, because nobody knows what to expect from the United States and what could come from that.
Well, so true. That is a very good overview. Thank you very much. Now let's move a little bit into the focus of these episodes and concretely on how is the Western economy, Western European economy developing?
Yeah, that's quite tricky because there is no really Western European economy. It really depends on where are your strengths. I mean, I am sitting right now in Germany, and I can tell you we are having very, very difficult times. We are in a stagnation now for several years. We haven't grown really, or we haven't grown from the level of the pre-pandemic times, and that was already 5 years ago. So that's a really hard situation for us. The main reason is that we are very much concentrated on the industry, on exports, on producing products that are mainly a bit more expensive but with very high quality. But now the problem is that we have more and more competition from emerging markets, emerging economies like China, who produce by now in a also good quality, maybe not the same quality, but a good quality, but with really, really lower prices. So the thing that made in Germany is does not work that well anymore, especially in times when everybody has to cut costs. But this is Germany, and this also includes all the other economies that are very dependent on the German economy. So do not ask the Austrians how they see their economy, because they say if Germany has a sneeze, we have a fever, and that's completely true. We see it. So that's really unfortunate for them. But there are also other countries who have a very different economic situation because of their different strengths. So if you are looking at Spain, Portugal, Greece, actually countries who were in major trouble during the 2010s, then you see, hey, they are really concentrated on the one thing that still works very well, and that's tourism. I mean, we all had to suffer from the inflation and the lack of purchasing power, but what are we consuming? Well, we are not consuming so much goods, but we still consume vacation. We want to go to the beaches, enjoy the time, especially after the pandemic. And that's something that we see, especially in Spain and Portugal. I mean, Portugal had a GDP plus, a quarterly plus of 1.5%. 1.5%. I mean, come on. Just give us this one for Germany, just for one quarter, and we would have the biggest party of our lives, I guess. So that's what we see. The countries who are strong in tourism are having really good times, are experiencing very, very strong recovery, very strong growth, while the ones who are mainly in industry are suffering from the lack of demand.
Can we talk about the recession? What is keeping the German economy then in balance? Is it services?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I mean, if you are looking at the newspapers, there are people who are saying there's a recession, others say there's a stagnation, and in the end, everybody's looking around and saying, okay, how can they not agree? I mean, it should be easy. And the reason behind that is that, as always, it's complicated. So when we are looking at the GDP development, we are basically in a stagnation. I know the yearly growth is had a minus for 2 years now, but it was minus 0.1, minus 0.2. I mean, you will never find a time where you have exactly zero. So we see in quarterly developments, it's an up and down around the 0%. So for us, it is still a stagnation. And I say, and I want to emphasize, till a stagnation, because we are more and more going into the region of a recession. The main reason behind it is, yes, services is the main thing, because if you're talking about German economy, everybody is talking about industry, and the industry is in a recession. That's clear, and that's not new. It started before the pandemic. It started in the end of 2018, actually. So that's status that we more or less almost got used to by now. The lack of demand for German products, and especially for the automotive sector. That's what we have, but what we always do not, or what we have a blind spot, is the service sector, which is, by the way, 70% of our gross value added compared to 20%, which is the industry. So yes, the service sector is keeping the German economy in balance right now. And even there, it is not so much the normal service sector, but really more the public sector. So the public sector is also 20% of the GDP, of the gross value added, to be exact. And there are quite a lot of investments. Also, before the whole theme and topic of new investments that just came up recently, we have quite a lot of investments into kindergartens, into universities, into research and development, into infrastructure. And that's something that we see in the GDP numbers, which kept it actually still in balance. But the question is, how long can this go on? We do not think that it can go on for a long time. And that's why it is important to get some impulse from other areas of the economy as well.
What if we look at a little bit of a wider picture and we consider Europe? What are the structural problems of Europe?
We have several structural problems in Europe. I mean, one is our lack of competitiveness. I think it's quite clear, and I said it already at the beginning, that other emerging economies have a better situation, especially when it comes to prices. Wages, I think, is a big thing. And I guess it's not a surprise. The other thing is obviously energy. Energy costs have increased a lot in our countries since the start of the war in Ukraine and the stop of gas deliveries from Russia. And we have not really found out a solution for that. But then also productivity decreased a lot. And this means that our products get more expensive in the end.
Talking about productivity decrease, what do you think are the reasons behind this?
Yeah, I mean, one reason is, and I already told you that services are right now doing far more better than industry. So if you were a company, I would say the main or the most logic consequence would be to reduce your focus on industry and go more into services. The thing is that in services, you cannot include that much technology as in industry. So therefore, the productivity gains are by nature lower in the service sector than in the industry sector. That would be one thing. The second thing is, and I'm not sure if this is really the case because I think it's changing. Many talk about education and the lack of education. It's always I have to smile because it's most of the time the youth. The youth does not know anything, and I think yes, but if you see how they work with a smartphone, then I would say I don't know anything. So education, there, what we see that the quality of education is decreasing, and that it should be really changed again to the needs that we have in this modern time. So also how to use artificial intelligence better, for example. Then a big thing, especially in Germany, but also overall in Europe, is bureaucracy. I mean, come on, the EU practically invented bureaucracy, but the Germans became the champions of it. And I'm not proud to say that, to be honest. So, well, the thing is that the cost of excessive bureaucracy, because in general, bureaucracy in general is not a problem. It's good if everybody has the same rules and know what to expect. But the cost of excessive bureaucracy were actually measured by the IFO Institute in Germany, and they summed up for 1 year for 146 billion euros, which is nothing else than 3.5% of GDP. And if you think you could save that, that would be really, really big. Then we have the lack of digitalization. Again, that's not everywhere in Europe. I mean, if you look at Estonia, Lithuania, they are amazing in terms of digitalization. But if you are looking at other countries like, for example, Germany, again, you do not have an internet connection everywhere. That's already a problem. And last but not least, we have quite a lot of sick leave. We have mental issues and in general a very bad sentiment that is taking us down and questioning, why the hell am I doing all of that actually? And I mean, this question that I guess everybody has now and then, when you open your eyes and think, okay, another day. Should I really go to work? Is it worth it? Why am I doing it? What have I done with my life? So existential questions that you have probably at 7 a.m. in the morning. This is something that is taking us down as well in our productivity, because if you have a lack of confidence in what it is worth for, then you cannot be productive as well. So these are, I would say, the main problems that we are facing right now.
Well, and I would say they are not that small problems. Also, trying to come to an end of the questions, because I thank you very much for joining me today, because I know you are just, still with a little bit of flu. We can hear your heat in your voice. So
Oh,
thank you
yeah.
very much. To finalize, what is, in your view, the outlook for the European growth?
To be honest, it depends a little bit on the current situation. I mean, we all are right now waiting what, for example, is Germany doing with its fiscal rules? Will there be way more investments? A push from Germany would help the EU economy, obviously, extremely. If this is not coming, then I would say that this situation of a stagnation, and higher inflation will go on, because I cannot see where the impact of a stronger recovery should come from right now. I would say that services will have still a moderate growth and will prevent even a stronger downturn development of the GDP. But what we would really need is a change for the industry in seeing, okay, where are the areas where we can still win? We should probably more concentrate on niche products, because we cannot win in mass products against the emerging markets. And also what we need is a different kind of sentiment here, that things can change to the positive, because in the end, economics is a lot of psychology. And if you have one crisis after another, and in the media everybody is only speaking about the negative things, then obviously everybody is getting more reluctant, saving more unsure and insecure about investments, and all of that is not good for the economic development. So these would be the things that would be needed for a recovery. For now, I'm really curious of the results of discussions in the German Bundestag in these weeks, and also what is more coming from the United States. We can count on Donald Trump that he will surprise us.
Definitely. Well, Christiane, thank you very much for your insights. Very illustrative, very helpful as usual. But it seems to me that we should go as the popular saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. From my part, again, a big thank you. And I just wish to speak to you very soon again, whatever format, in person or again in one of our episodes. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
We would love to hear your feedback and thoughts for future episodes. You have been listening to the FEBIS podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for listening.